Welcome back to the Players Ball podcast for AT Aliens by AT Aliens. I'm your host, Alex the Great. I'm joined by my co-host, as always, Mr. MB. We got some solid conversation for y'all coming up, man. But before that, I just want to check in with my brother from another. How's your work been? How's your work? How's your week been?
My week has been work, man. It's good.
Yeah,
I think I told you I'm assistant coaching for Bennett's flag football team. Did I tell you that?
you did not. You told me he was playing. You didn't say you were assistant coaching though.
Oh yeah. So my neighbor is the head coach. I kind of got voluntold. I'm gonna be
Yeah.
the assistant coach. We've had 3 practices now.
Mhm.
Saturday, Monday, tonight, and we have another one Saturday. So that's an interesting experience. I've actually somewhat enjoyed it,
Yeah.
which for me is kind of surprising. I don't really like kids. um, Not that like I have a problem with kids. It's just I I can't relate to them, so I just find it awkward, and I don't want to
Yeah.
parent someone else's children. So it's just one of those
Oh man, we
situations.
we need more dads that are parenting other people's children, man. I'm glad you're doing it. Now you're one of those dads. So, hey man,
Yeah.
what are you doing out here? What get your act together, Steve. Are there little kids named Steve? I don't
I'm
think so.
sure there are. They just probably don't go by Steve.
Stevie? I
Mhm.
don't know a single kid Steve.
Well, I mean, I have a buddy, Steve, and at one point he was a little kid, so.
Are we sure? Or are all Steves just born as adults? You
Yeah.
just came out in college like boom. Hey, I'm Steve.
Yeah, but to go back to the coaching and the kids thing and your statement about needing fathers or, male figures to help uh teach some of these kids. I saw a video today. Apparently, Marshawn Lynch is out coaching, doing a camp, and some mothers took exception to some language that he was using towards their children, and he owned it. Like he full on was like, "I cuss a lot." And if your
Yeah, I saw that
son
clip.
is not doing what they're supposed to do in the drill, I'm gonna tell them to get out of here. Um, in not so nice of a way, but I just thought it was funny because some kids do need a little bit of tough love. Now, do they need the vulgar language? Probably not, but it's Marshawn Lynch, right? Like you're not gonna change that man. He wouldn't do media appearances. So
I'm
I'm
just
just
here
here so I
so
don't
I won't
give
get fined.
exactly. So I just thought that was a cool little tie-in to what you were saying because I do agree. Like we do need more male figures out there being good role models. So
hmm Yeah, no, I enjoy it. There's an event coming up. I'll give you some more information about it later. But I want to get Grayson. It had to be 6 or over. I want to get Grayson and my nephews down there. It's a volunteer event, but it's at State Farm, so it'd be pretty dope. It's like a million meals packed. I think it's called.
mm,
You literally just pack lunches. They give you you don't get a game ticket. You don't really get anything but a shirt. But you go down there and you help. I think that's good to instill in kids too. So, I'm gonna make them do it. They'll be all right. I remember Dave used to make us go to Big Tate. He used to make us go to Habitat for Humanity when we were younger. I learned so much from doing that stuff.
yeah.
Right, and at first you hate it, like because you had to get up early, and but then you get there and they served us like some biscuits for breakfast, and you might get to use a drill or be hammering. I remember by like the 3rd year, I was up on the roof doing shingles. It was terrifying too, but I'm a handier man for it. So
No, I was much older when I participated in this stuff than what you're referring to, but that was one of the things I really enjoyed during college, being in a fraternity and
mm,
volunteering and doing work for the Alzheimer's Association and helping with the Alzheimer's walks. We did one at KSU. We did one down at the Atlanta Zoo. There were a couple different locations. Six Flags, we did one, and just waking up
Hmm.
early as a group and heading down there and basically watching the sun come up as we prepped for the event, and then just got to cheer everyone on. And it was just a cool experience, right? Got to see behind the scenes at the zoo. Got to have a day at Six Flags. It was just cool stuff. I always enjoyed the volunteer work. And then in my first career after college working for Shaw, we would do annual United Way campaigns. We did
Hmm.
we did one where we painted some offices for the organization that helps with women that are in like domestic violence relationships, where they can like essentially get out and have a place to live, like
Yeah.
an intermediary, a step for them. The Family Support Council was actually connected to one of the plants. I say connected. It was our parking lot surrounded it. So it was on the same road. Um, we did a lot of work for them, painting, yard work, you name it, and just different organizations locally, um, in the city of Dalton, which the plants I worked at were all in Dalton. Stuff for the Salvation Army, like sorting shirts. I always enjoyed those. Were some of the best days of work, right? Just getting to
Yeah.
fellowship, give back.
Some good camaraderie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think there's not enough of that going on right now. So, we can bring it back to the forefront, man. We have so many people watching our podcast at this point. We got to use it for some good, right? So, all 30 of our subscribers, the 35 it is now. It's not 50 yet. Right? That's when I'm making the announcement. But, yeah, give back when you get the opportunity, you know, and be a good role model. It Even if you don't feel like that's what you're called to do, there's always somebody watching. 100%.
So staying on that kind of same note, right? Like camaraderie, bringing people together. You mentioned, kind of the state of our world is a little broken, Um,
Hmm.
but every 4 years, man, somehow globally we manage to come together and have a competition, a friendly competition, the Olympics, right? They just ended, and the US, we did really well, but this past weekend there were some really big games,
Oh
specifically
yeah.
from the men's basketball. The US took on Serbia, and the MVP, the two-time MVP world champion, Joker, and they had a outstanding comeback victory. I thought they were cooked. I'm not gonna lie.
France. So they played Serbia the game before.
Oh yeah, I haven't even gotten to France yet.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
I'm
I did think. Okay, keep
I'm
going. Keep going. My
setting the
bad.
stage, right?
Yeah.
So in the semis, right, they played Serbia, and they were down by 17 at one point. And your boy Steph Curry went off, right? I think he was
Hmm.
scored 36 points. He was 1 or 2 points shy of the U.S. men's uh, record, single game Olympic record currently held by Carmelo Anthony. Um, and so they came back, won that game, a thriller, right? Emotional game. And they turned around 2 days later, faced off against France, Wemby for the gold medal. And what does Steph do again? He cooks, man. They don't call him the chef for no reason.
No, man, he killed it. So there's a video that is literally poetry in motion. Is Steph's last, because he hit four threes in a row to ice it. The last one was just ridiculous, the most Steph Curry thing ever. like hitting it over the defenders. I saw a post like there's a picture of the sideline and it's Steph shooting over the two defenders, and you have Kevin Durant wide open just to the left of the top of the key, and LeBron James wide open next to him, and he shot it anyway. I was like, dang man. But that video, I sent it to our group. With the smooth jazz in the back as he cooked and he did the shimmy and the night. We're definitely dropping a link to that. I don't think I've watched anything with more joy and laughter than that in a very, very long
And
time.
the comment section is priceless.
Conversation's lit. Like diabolical. Whoever put Steph Curry torching France is diabolical. You know they have a curry sauce at the French McDonald's.
And they're taking it off the
Yeah,
menu.
they said we're removing it from the menu.
Yeah, it's all
Yeah,
fun.
man.
He's incredible, right? Like I did hear that there were some people criticizing him because of his semantics, right? Like the showboating. They call it showboating, right? Like the night, the shimmy, just the way he is. But like that is who Steph is. If you're not getting yourself amped for a situation like that, you have no pulse, right?
Bruh, everyone in that arena came to see that. Right? They don't want to see that's not American, right? We can have humility, but this was a close contested game. You know, that those celebrations that
That swag.
machismo, that swag, man, that has a way of icing your opponents, man. So it's gamesmanship. I'm all for it.
And it pumps you up, right? Like it's the adrenaline, I'm sure, that was just pulsing through Steph's veins as he was hitting that game sealing shot, fading backwards over two defenders, right? As
Yeah,
the shot clock is about to hit zero. Like
yeah. So we were literally about to walk out for the pool, and then or we were dropping because Adrian wasn't gonna go swimming with us on Sunday, so we were going to my in-laws. He's gonna chill with them while we went down to the Brookhaven pool to swim. And the game is on when we walk in. It's like 3 minutes left. I'm like, oh man, I had been getting the score updates because I know it was a pretty contested game. It was me, my father-in-law, my uncle-in-law, Grayson, and even Brittany and my mother-in-law ended up being in the room. But when he's hitting these shots, like the level of excitement in the room is just like raising to the house is almost starting to shake. Like, oh man, I love moments in sports like that, man. They're so rare. Similar moment. We talked about it already, but when Jorge Soler hit that home run in the World Series, bro, I lost my mind. Right, it was that level of excitement when Steph hit that three. So yeah, it's good for us to all come together. America.
yeah, so just an interesting side note on Steph Curry, right? A couple years ago, he was on a podcast similar to ours
Mm,
during the All-Star break, right? I think Draymond was there. I can't remember who all was involved as the host, but they were former and current NBA players, right? So his peers. And they ask him, they say, like, Steph, so like at what point in your career did you know you were him? Like at what point did you know you were good? Like you had potential to be great. And he goes, well, there was this one time in 2005, 2006, senior year in high school, where they were playing in a tournament against this team from Dunwoody, Georgia, is what he said. He was a little wrong, but he was like, they had Connie Lawal and Jody Meeks, and, we beat them in the final, the championship game of this tournament. And at that moment, like, I just kind of realized I was him.
yeah,
And so
yeah.
I
Al
was,
Farouk on that team too. Three
yeah,
NBAers.
but Al Farouk couldn't play that year in varsity because
Uh,
of the
eligibility
ridiculous
stuff.
ridiculous transfer rules. Right, he lived in the district, but he was at a private school, And when he left the private school to go to Norcross, he didn't move. And because his
Mm,
address didn't change, they took his varsity eligibility away for a year. Absolutely ridiculous.
wow.
Um, but anyways, yeah, I mean that team had all starting five go and play college basketball. 4 out of the
Yeah, pretty
five
well.
were D1, so
Mhm.
solid team. Actually, to just kind of tie in there and give a quick shout out, our boy Jody Meeks is going to be inducted in the Kentucky Wildcats Hall of Fame. He just found out this week, so congratulations, Jody.
Big congrats, brother.
Another sharpshooter, not quite as cold as Steph, but
So, shit.
but when he's off, when he's hot, he's hot. You know,
I watched that game where he set the record in Kentucky.
the
I don't remember where I
54.
was. Yeah,
Yeah,
he
he.
was just jacking threes, bro.
I think he hit 10 threes that night. Hit 54 points. Beating Dell. What's his name?
Not
Delk.
Curry, right?
No,
Mm. Tony Duck.
maybe something
I don't
Delk's
know.
record. I'm not
That's
a
probably a real
huge
name.
Kentucky aficionado. Honestly, only watched Kentucky when he was there. You know,
Mm.
but yeah, congrats to him. Congrats to Steph. You know, I think it's hilarious. I was at the game that Steph is referring to as the day he realized he was pretty good. They beat us by 8, and he went off. I mean, he played for a little Christian, Charlotte Christian school, you know, out of Charlotte, tiny school. Um, he might have been the only colored person on the team.
Person of color, my brother. Person of
Yes, person of only one with a little flavor to him.
color.
So it's pretty funny because before the game, Coach Martin was just telling us how there was a player, you know, Del Curry's son, Steph. He was going to Davidson, and he was pretty good, and you know we shouldn't take them lightly. And sure enough, we shouldn't have taken them lightly.
He's one of those dogs. Yeah.
Yeah, unicorn.
There was a picture, another meme. It was him and LeBron, because obviously between the two of them, I don't know that they win. Steph closed out the last two. LeBron saved the first couple games, so without them, I don't know that they win gold. But it was like it was them hugged up, like enjoying each other's camaraderie, and then the caption said, LeBron and Steph enjoying enjoying this success before they have to meet each other for the play-in spot.
if if the Lakers get there,
I think they'll get there.
they probably will. I say it in jest.
Man, I'm thinking the Hawks might get there. Just a quick pivot.
Mm.
I'm I do still want us to do a lot more. Still have a desire for a bigger big man than Clint Capella. Much love to Clint Capella. I think he does very well at what he does, but I want somebody bigger. Trey Young was on another podcast, not ours just yet. It was on Podcast P, Paul George's podcast, and Paul George was like, "Yeah, what about like a Nick Claxton? He's currently in net. He's a big, um, real dominant force defensively inside, but he's got some go get him to him. I think that would work out crazy. Still not quite as big as I would want, but I'm ready for some fresh juice at the 5 position. I do think we still got to get rid of the DeAndre Hunter. Clint Capella's in that same little group, but I'm becoming more optimistic about the Hawks based on the Olympics, right? Like Bogey was balling. Um,
Bogey
Bogey's
cooked the
certified.
U.S.
Yeah, he's a certified hooper. He already was, but he was playing against his peers. This isn't some Euro League basketball player. And I think when you play against your peers on the world stage, you come back with and have success. You come back with a certain level of chip on your shoulder. Like, all right, well, let me do it here too. where I mean, obviously it counts there, but this one counts. Between him and Dyson Daniels, you know Dyson Daniels on 2K whatever it is. I don't know what year, 25. His steal is a 96
Wow.
rating. Yeah, he's fourth out of the top five steal ratings. He's fourth. Trey Young was third in handles. I saw both of those today. But I'm becoming more optimistic. I think there's a lot more to do, but the pieces that we have around, if Trey's willing to give us a year or two, and we finally get that one extra chip, man, I really do think this team is set up for success. We're gonna be super big. He said that on the podcast too. Like this is gonna be the biggest team that he's ever played for.
Hmm.
Like Dyson Daniels 6'8", and they're looking at putting him at the two.
Sheesh.
I think Ricochet is 6'10".
6'10".
Uh, yeah, 6'9", 6'10". We can look that one up.
Yeah.
Jalen Johnson 6'10", 6'9", 6'10". And then you got Clint Capella who's like 6'10". Trey's small, but he does big things. So not a whole lot left on the to well, what did you have anything your thoughts about the Hawks?
No, but I mean, just piggybacking off of what you were saying, I did see a few headlines that were saying that the JC trade looks a lot better now
Yeah,
after the Olympics than before the Olympics. Now that people have gotten to see Dyson Daniel on a global stage, and then just Bogey, right? I agree with you. He's a certified baller. I just want to see the type of energy that he was playing with, like the heart he was playing with when they were playing the U.S. in the semis. I want to see that night in and night out when he's a Hawk, right?
yeah,
I understand there's a little bit more pride involved when you're playing for your country, but if you can give me that bogey, I'll be a happy man, right?
yeah. And we've seen it, but just not on as consistent a basis as what it was with Serbia for sure. So Ricochet is 6'9", Jalen Johnson is 6'8",
Hmm.
but 6'8", 6'9", 6'8", and they're all super long. I think his wingspan outstretches his height, at least Ricochet. So I mean, make more moves, Landry, but I'm starting to like it.
Yeah,
Maybe I'm coming around to it. So we'll see, man. But
yeah.
not a whole lot going on with them. Um,
From one
let's
bird
talk
to
about
another.
from one bird to another.
Another
Shout out to that
team.
old school jersey because that's one of my favorite looks. That the yes sir, that's that logo I love. Definitely on that black too. So for those who don't know, Mr. 45, T.J. Duckett, running mate of
Work done.
Warren Dunn. Work done. Yep. Um, Falcons. We've had a preseason game in the books.
What was
What
your
do you think?
thoughts, man?
Oh
I
yeah. So who wants to go first?
You can tell
um,
the excitement.
your boy, Michael Penix had several dimes, bro. Like just ball directly into the pocket. I thought he looked very good. We were talking about Washington, and I know we actually looked at the depth chart, and he was showing as a wide receiver. He got a lot of run at running back, and I thought he looked really solid as well. Um, Defensively, was it King?
Yeah.
Kevin King? Yeah, yeah. No, there was definitely a lot to be desired from a defensive perspective. But Kevin King, that's the signee that we had. He had been hurt, and I think we signed him. He had played was with the Packers, but he looked like he was all over the field. That was exciting, and we'll end up needing him. Um, but what did you think?
I mean, my assessment is very similar to you. The first couple throws that Penix had, there was a few that he put on the money, and if his receiver didn't have brick for
Yeah.
hands, they would have
Hmm.
been completions. I was very, very excited about just the ball placement, the pace, the decision making. For a rookie, right? Like he does seem
Yeah.
like he is somewhat ready, right? Like I want him to develop. We're talking about he was going up against the 2s and 3s for Miami,
Mhm.
so not, a
Grain of
starting
salt.
not a starting team, but he did look the part against the competition, right? So he's clearly got the skills. I can't wait for him to continue to develop under Kirk
Mhm.
Cousins. I think maybe not next year, but 2 years from now, it's going to be time. It's going to be
Oh yeah,
Penix time.
yeah. Kurt's got 2 years. The clock is ticking, baby.
I mean, come on.
You look so they look so natural, right? Like that's one thing that you don't always see is effortlessness in your motions. Everything he did, it looked like it was effortless, and that's super encouraging for me. But what about the defense though? Did you see any bright spots on the defense?
I mean, we had a pick early. We were getting pressure early. Honestly, we, for all intents and purposes, should have won that game.
Yeah.
However, Tyler Heineke is hot garbage, or at least he played that way, and is likely not going to make the roster because that would be a decent salary savings, which I believe we're going to need.
In light of recent news.
And in light of very recent news, I will say overall, great preseason game one. Glad to see the action. You didn't throw anybody out there really unnecessarily. I did hear a lot of chatter on the radio about whether or not a couple individuals should have played. We had some injuries, and that's kind of what's brought this topic up, right? We had DeMarco Hellams get hurt. We had our third round draft pick, Braylon Trice, get hurt. Turns out Trice is going to be out for the year with ACL. They did confirm, we talked about it on the pod last week about Rondell Moore leaving practice. It was serious, as we kind of predicted. ACL as well, out for the year. I haven't heard the severity of DeMarco Hellam's injury, but I do believe it's fairly severe. Like, if he's not going to miss the whole year, he's going to miss significant time. So
So I heard something interesting on that. That was so I was listening to 929 the game this morning. And Mark Zeno said that I don't know if he had been through it. I think he tore his meniscus is what Helms has done. And he said, you walk out after the surgery. So he was thinking 6 to 8 weeks, which is half the season. Be nice to get him back, at least for the second half.
So interestingly, not Falcons, but someone we've talked about a little bit here, JJ McCarthy, right? He had a torn meniscus, and I had seen a headline that he was going to have surgery to repair it, and he'd be out 6 to 8 weeks.
Out the whole year, yeah.
No, like this was a couple days ago, saying 6 to 8 weeks. Comes find out today he had surgery, and they're saying he's going to be out for the year. So I don't know if it was more severe than what they thought it was going to be. Like maybe they thought it was a partial tear and it ended up being a full tear. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I'll never claim to be a doctor, but I did find it interesting because you just said like you were predicting, or Zeno's predicting 6 to 8 weeks. And that's what I thought it was going to be for JJ, but turns out it's going to be all year.
High ankle sprain. I'm sorry. They were talking about both of them in the conversation, so I think I mixed up JJ McCarthy. DeMarco Hellams has a high ankle sprain.
So, I mean, high ankle sprains are worse than
They're
low.
tricky.
Yeah, they're tricky. So we'll see. I know the team has gone out and they're doing their due diligence. I think they worked out. Is it Justin Simmons, the safety?
I'm a Pro Bowler for the Broncos. Yeah.
So
safety.
They've worked him out. No word on signing or anything. Going into today, the Falcons had one of the lowest remaining salary caps available. They had like around 3.5 million, give or take. And then the bombshell news hit this evening. The Falcons have traded for 4-time Pro Bowler Matthew Judon from the Patriots for a 3rd-round pick.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I'm super excited about it. And, this kind of ties to what we were talking about last year, because the reason that he's disgruntled right now with the Patriots because he was wanting a new contract. He may end up being a rental. Um, we don't have a whole lot of money, especially since I didn't think we definitely need to sign a safety.
Well, technically, I don't think we even have enough money to cover his contract right now, as the roster is constructed today. But you let go of Tyler Heineke, you restructure Jesse Bates or Chris Lindstrom, you could make room pretty quickly. Which is
3.5 million is what we have in available space right now.
And I believe his cap hit for this year is like 14. His base is like 6.8, I think, 6.8 million. So they're gonna have to do something just to make the money work. But it does ask the question, are they going to be able to go out and sign someone like a Justin Simmons? What would it take? I don't know what the vet minimum is. But the good news is we're out there and they're doing their due diligence, and they lost Braylon. They knew they had a hole. You brought up the defense. There's still a lot of question marks, but
check this out real quick. Cutting Taylor Heineke for financial reasons is also off the table, considering his previous restructure. They already restructured him. Means that the team would actually be at a net loss of $2.1 million. So they're saying that we could cut Lorenzo Carter, Richie Grant, or Mike Hughes. That would save us 2.2 per player, or roughly 7.4 if we cut all three.
You're not going to cut Lorenzo Carter.
Yeah, I don't think they're cutting Richie Grant either, just because you're already light on safeties. You don't cut one to bring in another just in the event that you have an injury. So it's looking like they're saying it's going to be a combination of cut and restructure. Caden Ellis will be a solid candidate for restructure. I hate doing that, but I think we do what we got to do at this point.
I'm with you. I'm not in favor. I mean, that's how we ended up in the Matt Ryan cap hell, the Julio Matt Ryan restructure Olympics that they did every year. As long as you're smart with it and you don't just keep doing it year after year, I think it's okay. But eventually, you got to pay the piper. So the more you manipulate, eventually it's going to catch up with you. But no, I saw it too deep today, and it's like at the defensive end position, you only have Matthew Judon and Lorenzo Carter. You got some outside linebackers, but a lot of your, pass rush that we think about, they're all classified as D tackles. So I don't think you see Lorenzo Carter. I could be wrong. I'm not in the front office. I'm not in those conversations yet. But I think Mike Hughes, out of the names that you listed, is probably going to be a cap casualty, and then some restructures to make room.
Say restructure, and the last one that I hadn't scrolled down far enough to see was extensions. So you can make space by extending AJ Terrell, which I don't know. That's a little dicey for me too. I'm sure they'll figure it out.
So I know Judon was disgruntled in New England, wanting a new deal. Like, I wonder if that's on the table, right? If you could do essentially like a sign and trade, you trade for him and you give him an extension, and therefore you can lessen potentially his cap hit for this year as part of his extension, right? But he's a 4-time Pro Bowler. I saw something. He had the second most pressure rate in the entire NFL, only second to one of the Bosa brothers. I believe it was
Yeah,
Nick. It might have been Joey. I don't know. One of the Bosa brothers. Both of them
because
are
he was
very
off to
good.
an excellent start last year. Before like tore his bicep, I think it says. I think I scrolled too fast, but yeah, no, he was cold, and his best years have been recently.
Yeah, it's something we've been missing for, I don't know, the last 20 years. Since John Abraham, really, we haven't had a
Right.
pass rush. We
Not a
kind
dominant one like that. Not even close.
Vic Beasley had a good year.
On the other side of an elder
Dwight
statesman who
Freeney.
double team. Yeah,
And to be
Dwight
honest, the statistics, in my opinion, kind of lie. You know, I hate to do it to Vic. He is a local, right? His jersey's hanging in my kids' elementary school. They love him around here. I mean, you know, he's a local.
He still be loved, but also not have been a very good sacker, a
Yeah,
pass rusher.
but
He
his
wasn't able to
stats,
replicate that season, that Super Bowl season. He couldn't even come close.
his stats were somewhat inflated because I think he had like 4 or 5 sacks against the 49ers that year out of 14. So, I mean, that was 33% roughly of his entire production for the year was one game. So,
Yeah,
it is what it is.
I guess he would be the closest thing that we've had, but he's not in the same weight class as Matthew Judon. Definitely not as John Abraham. And if Dwight Freeney, even the old Dwight Freeney, is not on the other side of that line, I mean, we saw that once he wasn't, the production just dropped all the way off. So,
Yeah.
Shout out to him. I'm sure he's a great fellow. I bet you he is a philanthropist in the area.
Very
Right?
much.
Maybe he's given to the school. So, big up to him. But
No, he's a fantastic
we
person.
have not had a serious pass rusher since John Abraham,
Since the Predator.
the Predator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm excited. Big news. I actually put on this jersey just because I was hyped from the trade news. Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't worn a
For a third rounder,
jersey.
that's not bad at all, man.
Yeah, I haven't worn a jersey in years, so I gotta be pretty hyped. Pretty excited about it to get the jersey put on.
Yeah.
We play the Ravens this week, I believe, in preseason action, and
MG1, yeah.
and then we've got one more preseason game, and then it's all goes, man. I can't wait. This is gonna be a fun season, I believe, and it's gonna make for some good pod content for sure.
Yeah, that last preseason game is at the crib. Is versus that team back there on your top shelf.
Oh yeah, the fighting Trevor Lawrence's.
They better name themselves after somebody else.
He's also a local.
Travis Etienne's. Yeah, that's what they should be.
Yeah.
Theo, the Tates, Theo and Terry are going to be at that game, so I think I'm going to be there now. I wasn't anticipating being able to go just because I thought the wife's going to be out of town, but yeah, we'll probably be in the biddy before it all gets started, and then, all season long, bro.
Yeah, man. I'm going to have to get out there to a game this year, at least one.
Yeah, nah, it's going to be nuts, man. I was looking at the schedule, man, see where we could potentially squeeze you in. Their home games are so good. Like
I know.
The Steelers, the Chiefs.
Look, man, I'll just
the Saints. Yeah.
I'll just have to get my own ticket.
Yeah.
Just how it be.
That's how it be. It doesn't mean like we'd be in the seats anyway. So let's get up through there, man.
Yeah, so from one bird to not a bird, but to a disappointment. No, I still have hope. It's
do an injury tie.
It's been really
One
hard.
injured team to another.
Oh man, I mean, the injuries are unreal for the Atlanta Braves. It's crazy. It's like you get one back, which I'm excited tonight. Um, I believe they first pitch should be in about 5 minutes. Um, we get Michael Harris the third back in center field tonight. So off of injuries, it's been with Gwinnett for a week or so, doing big things in Gwinnett, as many do. Um, but we get him back, which is a huge, huge deal. I mean, our outfield for the last 2 months has been defensively like the worst outfield in baseball, which
Yeah.
is hard because Michael Harris is a all-star defender. Jared Kelenic is a wonderful defender. Ronald Acuna Jr. is an outstanding defensive player. And that was who was essentially our outfield to start the season. And it has not looked like that in a very long time. And it will not look like that for the remainder of the season, with Ronald Acuna. But having 2/3 of that back is much better than having only a third of that on the field. And on top of that, you were rotating the other two guys, almost daily, right? Between Jorge Soler, Duvall, White, Laureano, like it's just been a revolving door, no stability, and it's been tough. And the season as a whole, I mean, it's a microcosm for what's gone on with the pitching staff. Just got news tonight that AJ Minter had a hip surgery, likely out for the year. He last pitched on Sunday in probably the worst loss I've ever seen as a Braves fan in 36 years to a terrible club, right? A bad Colorado Rockies team that you beat up on game one, I think, and then you turned around and lost the next two. But the one on Sunday hurts the most because it was the eighth inning. You'd been absolutely smacking the ball, the leather off the ball, just tank after tank. It's 8-2. And old Lukey Dookie comes in the game and absolutely blows it. And you end up losing. You give up 7 runs in the eighth inning to lose 9-8. Absolutely demoralizing. And I do think AJ Minter might have pitched in that game as well. So
yeah. No, I know. Just in a more positive light from that series, it does look like Jorge Soler is getting his juice back because he was mashing. So that was good. I mean, a bunch of players were for us to get to 8 runs, but Jorge Soler, I think he had hit 4 home runs in 3 games or something like that. So that was good. Austin Riley has been. I think he's actually had one of the better averages in the month of. He did good towards the end of July, but he's doing really well in the month of August. He seems to be back at least close to his very productive self.
did you hear old Squidbillies analogy? They've played it as some of promos for like commercial breaks and stuff. Did you hear it?
No.
I heard it live, and then I've heard it several times since. But he basically equated the Braves this year to his golf game, and basically, he'll be fire on the his driver and his wedges, and like could not putt to save his life, and then his putting game will start to turn around, and then he can't drive or chip to save his life. And that's kind of been the story of the Braves, right? Our bats have started to turn around. I mean, they did go 21 or 20 something innings without scoring a week ago,
Which,
which is
yikes.
crazy. But when you look at it, on a larger scale, like a month, 30 days, the bats are much better than they were 2 months ago. But our
Yeah.
pitching has kind of fallen off. And a lot of that has been due to injuries, right? Max Fried, we just got back off the IL. Uh, he has not made his second start yet. Ronaldo Lopez hit the IL. He's eligible to return, I believe, this week. I think he's making his rehab start in the minors, and then we've really just had Chris Sale, and he got
Who has been crazy,
he got
right?
banged
That
up a
one
little
no
bit.
game.
He got banged up a little bit in the Brewers series, and then he matched up against former Cy Young um,
Blake Snell.
Blake Snell, and that was the pitcher's duel of all pitcher's duels. I think he had a season high. Um, he being Chris Sale had a season high 12 strikeouts, shut out the Giants. I think he pitched into the 7th or 8th inning. We ended up winning in the 10th. Rysel, your favorite relief pitcher, came in and pitched 2 innings, but won us that game. So shout out
He did.
to Rysel and Chris Sale holding it down. Chris Sale has an amazing resume for this year. If he's not the leading candidate for the Cy Young, people are just hating.
Yeah. No, for sure. He there was a stat that they kept talking about on the radio, like between the two of them, I think they had like 23 strikeouts in that game, which is just nuts.
I think it was high, 23. Yeah, that's right, because Blake Snell had 11. Yeah. Yeah, it was an incredible pitcher's duel. Boring baseball if you dig the long ball.
33 total strikeouts in the game, but between the two of those, I think it was 23. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he struck out like 6 straight almost. He had a stretch where I think he had retired like 17 batters in a row.
Dealing, man. And that's what we wanted, right? We didn't know if we were gonna get him. He's had some injury played years of late, but he's killing it, man. So welcome back to your greatness, Chris Sale.
Yeah, and without him, without Marcell Ozuna, who knows where this team would be? Because they have really, really held it down for us for most of the year. It's really sad. I mean, we still have a lot of ball left, right? We still have everything that we've wanted, available to us, right? Like we're still in the hunt. It feels bad, but we're still in the hunt. But
As it stands, well,
the
2
hard
games.
part, yeah, the hard part is what could have been, right? With Ronaldo Lopez, with Chris Sale, with Max Fried, with Spencer Strider, with Ronald Acuna. This team is completely different. Completely different. So
Yeah.
I know it's fool's gold to sit here and play the what if game, but man, it's hard not to with the way things
Yeah.
have gone.
If was a fifth, we'd all be drunk, brother. All right.
Yeah.
The roller coaster ride that has been the Braves, at least right now, it's at a peak more than a valley, right? We have fallen out of the wild card altogether, and now we have that third spot, and we're 2 full games up on the Mets. To your point, there's a lot of baseball left, but still does feel like there is some success ahead of us that is at least possible. We'll see where we swing towards the end of September, where we're going to be, and I think we're only 6 games behind the Phillies at this point too. So
Yeah, that was going to be my last point. Is the Phillies have been struggling
yeah,
for a team that had the best record in baseball for a long time. They have been flat the last month, so we've not let the division really get away. I mean, it's unlikely that we win the division, but it's still there, right? Like mathematically, it's not all that crazy. We still have, I think, like 7 or 8 games against them, with
Hmm.
them having a 6 game lead, right? Like that series, like we could potentially take the
Flip it.
division just from our head to heads. So yeah, it's been tough, but we got to remain optimistic, and I'm just glad to be getting Michael Harris back. It sounds like Ian Anderson is really close to making a debut for the big club, so we'll just have to wait and see how it goes.
Here, here, man. Here, here. I know we're getting close to time, so I want to close this out with we've been talking about college football 25 for the last couple of weeks, right? And I've gotten in there. You've been in there. You're a seasoned coach. Mateo Simone is a seasoned vet at this point, winning some natties. So I started my road to glory on Sunday, and 6 hours later, I finally was able to put it down. Uh, and I just want to tell you how it started because it's a heck of a story, right? So I'm a 3-star quarterback coming in. I don't want it to be too easy. My best fit was between it was Georgia Southern, like Utah, and then the Canes. So obviously I went with the U, right? 'Cause I'm a Miami fan
They've lowered
from
their
back in the
standards.
day. They have, but they had a senior quarterback, so I was, I was ready to get in there and do some learning and go for it. Right. So I did the practices. Year one is pretty much uneventful from my player's perspective, whose name is Gravy and Mac, like Grayson, Adrian, and then Charlotte's middle name is Mackenzie. So Gravy and Mac rode the bench for most of the season, got really good grades, ended up with a 4.0. The spending of those points, man, it gets real dicey once you're starting, like once you're playing, because I had to worry about injuries or anything. All right, so boom, we get to the end of the season. We're undefeated, and we get to the ACC championship, and we play North Carolina State. We lose to North Carolina State in the ACC championship. The college football playoff has expanded, so this year is going to be 12 teams.
Yeah.
Maybe we can get into that next week. I don't want to open that up, but we make it in. We beat the first team. Our second team is we have to play NC State again. This time we win through the sim, and I watched that sim on normal speed as opposed to fast, just because I was, the anticipation of whether we would win or not. And then we met somebody that is really familiar in the national championship, the Dogs, and we beat the brakes off of Georgia in the national championship. Yeah.
We know this isn't real life.
Yeah, no, it's not. I can't even remember the guy who won the Heisman. I remember one a couple last times I was looking at the Heisman watch. There was somebody that was talking about on the radio, a wide receiver at Ohio State. He was up there. Uh,
Jeremiah
bro
Smith.
had it, maybe. I don't remember the name. Um, but he had an incredible year. Nobody on my team was up there at all. Apparently, Miami's defense is really good. So that's what we leaned on most of the year. Boom, we win a national championship. Our quarterback graduates. I'm like, all right, it's my time to shine. Before the season starts, QB battle. I said, what QB battle? And I'm battling for the number 2 spot. I said, oh my gosh, what's happening? Apparently, they get this freshman. His stats are fire. He looks like he's pretty cold. But so he starts week one. I got all the coaches' trust I need. Week two comes. It's a coaches. It's a another QB battle, and I beat him for the starting spot. Boom. I play week three. I play Notre Dame. I throw 3 picks, 2 of them to the crib. And then that week I'm practicing. I hate there's a drill that I almost in the QB competitions, or I don't, yeah, I'm sure you do. You have to beat you had to win 2 of the 3
Yeah.
of the drills, and there's one, it's like the survival scramble where you have to and I can't even medal on that for whatever reason. I'm sure I'm just not doing it right, but in doing all that, I didn't have so I tried to practice that, didn't medal, so I got no coach's confidence that week, and I needed my points. I wanted to get my experience up so I could get some better skills. So he was not coming back up. So this text message comes through from my academic advisor, and she's like, "Hey, you got a test coming?" Or no, a text came through from one of my friends. He's like, "Hey, man, I got the answers. I got the answers to the history test. You want them?" And it was 3 tokens to study, and his answers were free. And I was like, "Man, I need all those." So I'm like, "Hell yeah, give me those answers, man." He gives me the answers. I play the next week. I have a lot of success in that game. I balled out. It's probably one of the best games I played. Threw like 4 touchdowns, 325 yards, with like a 80 completion percentage. Um, Game ends. Get to the next week. I'm benched again, and I get a text from my academic advisor saying that I was caught cheating, and she couldn't believe that I had gone through that. Right? Oh man, and that's where I was like, all right, well, it's 3 a.m. Let me go ahead to bed.
you know, I I started with a running back. I went through, graduated, redshirted, graduated. So I played 5 seasons as a running back, and then I was like, all right, I'm gonna make quarterback. And
Mhm.
so I've been through. I didn't finish. I think I might still be in my sophomore year as a quarterback, but
Mhm.
I have done the taking classmates' advice. Never been caught
Yeah.
cheating. So
Never been caught.
no. So I think it's hilarious. I didn't even know how it worked. I guess there's some sort of random algorithm because it says like, do you want to risk it, right?
Yeah, it says
Yeah.
risk. Yeah,
So there's got to be
man,
like a dice roll
I
or
get
something.
negative experiences all the time. I got invited to a party, and I was like, no, because I was like, I'm gonna be responsible. Y'all go without me, and my popularity went down, man.
Yeah, you
So it's
didn't
like, goodness gracious, man, what do I have to do?
spending those points. You said it gets dicey. And when I made the quarterback, I took a completely different approach. It's like, I'm going to spend most of my time practicing. I'm going to make sure that I'm not going to get injured. So it's like balance between practice and rest. And
Hmm.
I'll study a little bit here and there, just enough, right? And that has
Right.
worked really well, right? I think I got my quarterback up to like a 96 overall.
Oh yeah, yeah, you're killing
Yeah.
it.
So I definitely advise putting all that other stuff away and just focus on the developmental part for the most
That's what
part.
I'm gonna end up going for because I mean, he can only be so smart if he's gonna either either he has enough brains on his own. Because I'm not, I'm nowhere near a 96. I'm like at 81,
Yeah.
right? But I was really hitting the books that first year. It took me a while to actually figure out the mechanics, right, of what was gonna drive me and how to get my physical and my mental attributes. And those things get really expensive.
Oh, I was gonna say those developmental
Like
points
9
are
points.
steep.
Goodness
Oh, I
gracious.
think speed at one point was like 12. Like my
Mm,
first speed point when I was a running back was like 12 uh talent points or whatever. I don't know what they call them, but it's hard to
yeah,
get 12 freaking talent points, study,
it is, man.
get good grades,
Alright.
not party, right?
There's another part that, like, there has to be another way to earn those experience. I think it's XP points.
Yeah, in the game you can earn like for just doing certain things in game. Like you said you threw for like 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. Like that will earn you experience.
literally after the game, I saw, it said XP or SP, whatever it is. Maybe it's SP skill point, and it flashed and it sent it up to the corner. And then when I'm out of the game or out of the update after the game, my points aren't they're the same. It's like I didn't get those points. I don't know where they went.
Mm.
It definitely showed it to me.
I will tell you this jacked me up. I told you I've been playing Dynasty mode, right? And it was
Yeah.
like year 2 or year 3. I don't know. I'm like 5 seasons, 5 or 6 seasons deep at this point. But one of the years, man, I was recruiting, I was doing all this stuff, and we got to like I didn't realize, right? So you have a prospect list and you can spend points like on how you want to recruit them. And I'd have
Yeah.
these guys committed, and I would take them off my prospect list so I could add new people. Well, 3/4 of the way through the season, I look at where I'm ranked in the recruiting, and it's like you got one commit. It's like, where did all my commits go? Apparently, I lost them all. Either that or the game just glitched and like somehow reset. So, I mean,
Is it removing them from your prospect list potentially? Or
I
once they commit, they're supposed to be there?
I don't know. From now on, I've been leaving them on there just in case until it says signed. They stay on there. But yeah, I'm struggling. I guess. I mean, I'm still ranked in the top 5 in the nation right now.
Struggling.
But I am to some degree struggling because I only have like 77 of 80 something roster spots filled because I've had so many players graduate, and those years where I had rough recruiting classes have started to catch up. Now this past year I had the number 3 overall recruiting class. Yeah. Go Owls.
Go Owls. Yeah, I know you said KSU, right? Yeah. We're gonna start one, man. We're gonna give you another update next week. We're gonna do a dynasty, maybe get a couple of other boys in and get that thing popping, man, because that's gonna be a lot of fun.
If anybody is interested in doing a dynasty, put it down in the comments because we'll play.
We are in the game.
Yes, sir.
And then with that, man, I think we wrap it. Another great conversation. I can't wait to do. I'm having so much fun with that college football. I can't wait to do it with other people. That's gonna be super dope. But yeah, definitely comment if you want to join the dynasty. You can get in. We haven't started yet. All right, man. Well, another good one. Like, subscribe, comment. We'll catch you on the flip.
Peace.
Peace.